Hey guys, today on JD Cars, we're going to be building my 2018 Honda Grom clone. So before we start today's video of building and assembling this Honda Grom clone, I want to pay a special thank you to Belmont Bikes for making this project possible. Belmont Bikes is a small company that ships bikes out of California. They have numerous different models offered on their website, including this 2018 Honda Grom clone. Unlike a lot of other bike companies, they actually ship their titles and certificate of origin with the bike or same day separately. I received mine with the bike same day as I picked up the bike on time. With a lot of other companies, you have to wait several weeks before you even get your certificate of origin or title, and that can really delay your registration and insurance of your bike and ultimately getting on the road. So again, a very special thank you to Vince from Belmont Bikes for making this project possible. Be sure to check out their website in the description below. So this is what your bike is going to look like on the frame. If you're interested in an unboxing video, I did make a video of picking this up at the shipping terminal and unboxing it. Be sure to check that out up here. Aside from the bike itself, you'll receive your front tire, rear fender, front fender, and a small box with your mirrors, bar clamps, and some tools, as well as some instructions. So as you can see, the bike is mostly assembled. You just have to throw on the bars, the front wheel, and the fenders, and then we're all set. First thing I'll be doing here is unwrapping our handlebars and getting them installed. So we'll need to grab our bar clamps from our little box. The hardware is included, as you can see. We'll be needing a 9mm hex drive socket or the included Allen key if you don't have access to one of these tools. So grab your bar clamps and have your hardware ready to go. Grab your bars, and you'll see on the bars there's this little groove section. That's what we want to clamp in between the bar clamps here. So it's easiest to get this installed if you just allow the bars to lay down flat. Grab your bar clamps and begin threading in the fasteners. Alright, once you have both of those partially threaded in, you can move the bars up into position here. We are obviously going to want to adjust this once we have the bike on its front wheel and we can sit on it, but until then you can just tighten them down in roughly the correct position here. So just tight enough to hold them in place firmly here. As I said before, we will be adjusting them later on, but attaching the bars here provides us with a nice place to attach some hooks to lift up the front end and install the front wheel. I'm lucky enough to have access to a front end loader, so I'm going to bring that into the garage here and we're going to use some straps to raise the front of the bike up. If you don't have access to that, you can use some ratchet straps or whatnot and hook them to your ceiling or something of that nature. And if you don't have access to any of those materials, you can always have a friend lift up the front of the bike while you install the front wheel. So as you can see, I have the top fastened to the forks of the loader. We have the bottom fastened to the handlebars right inside the clamp so they won't slide up. And these are rubberized hooks, so they're not going to do any damage to the bars. We'll remove the axle nut right here, and I'm going to put a little bit of upward pressure on the bike so we can remove this axle easily. So as far as installing the front wheel goes, there's a little bit of preparation we have to do here. We're gonna have to remove a little stopper from the front brake caliper, and we also have to snip this zip tie here. These 4 components here are what should come off of your zip tie. These are for the front wheel speed sensor, which is how our speedometer is going to read our speed. As I said before, we can also remove this little spacer from our front brake caliper. Now just be careful and do not press that front brake lever, or else you're gonna have a nightmare of resetting this caliper. So for the front wheel assembly, we're gonna take this metal spacer, insert the smooth rounded offside into the wheel, fits nicely into that little rubber gasket. And we're gonna take this rubber gasket with the lip facing the wheel sensor, and then we're gonna take this little plastic piece, which as you can see has 4 magnets around the perimeter for sensing our wheel speed, and we're gonna insert that into the sensor like so. And we'll take our front wheel here, roll it into place. I'm gonna lower the loader just a little bit. Now it comes to the left side of the bike here, and we're gonna be installing our wheel sensor. You wanna be careful and make sure that these 2 plastic tabs line up with the ridges on the inside of the hub. In fact, I think I'm just gonna pull my sensor out, hold it in place here, and install the sensor unit itself. Firmly press the sensor into place and position your front wheel in between the forks. You can grab our front axle, slide it through the fork, through the wheel sensor, through the wheel itself, and out the other side. Now I'll grab our axle nut, install it on the axle. Actually, hold on a second. Let's apply some Loctite to the inside threads of this nut here. Now we'll install it on the axle. Don't want to be losing our axle nuts, do we? So this is a 17mm, or you can use an 11/16. You're gonna tighten this down and hold the axle on the other side with another wrench. Now your wheel obviously has bearings, so don't be afraid to tighten this down nice and firmly. Our front wheel is now installed, so come over to the left side here, come to our rear shock, and remove this nut and bolt. Your shock doesn't come attached to the frame, just to save on space during shipping. So to install this, we're gonna lift up the rear end, get our shock into place here. This is another thing that's easier with 2 people, but I think I can get this. There we go. Alrighty, same as the front axle. I'm gonna apply some Loctite to this nut here, install it on the bolt. This is a 14mm. Alright, front wheel, handlebars. Rear end is up. This is starting to look like a bike. Let's pop down our kickstand here, and we can relieve the pressure from the loader and disconnect our straps from the handlebars. Our next steps here are going to be the front fender and the rear fender. So let's start with the rear one here. So grab your fender, slide it in from the rear into place here. Grab yourself a 10mm socket. Pull off these 2 bolts here and grab our fender, pull it over, and reinstall the bolts. So once you've got those 2 bolts installed, we'll move over to the left side. Similar process here, 2 10mm bolts we're gonna remove. Apply some Loctite, and we'll reinstall them. At this point, your rear fender should be nice and secure, and we can move on to the front fender. So for the installation with the front fender, we are gonna have to remove these reflectors here, unscrew them. Then we'll carefully slide our fender in from the front here. Remove the 10mm bolt on either side. We are also gonna have to remove this 10mm bolt right here. Grab your brake line bracket and set it aside. Do the same on the other side. Now our fender can fit into place, and we can begin reinstalling all of our hardware here. Just gonna loosely hand tighten all of these until I have all of them installed, and then I'll go back and tighten them down. At this point, the last thing to install on the bike are the mirrors. So I'll show you that process right now. So each of your mirrors here is gonna have a 14mm nut. You're gonna wanna screw that just about all the way to the top. Then come over to your handlebars. And there is a left and right. The left one is obviously gonna stick out to the left. So we're gonna screw this in. And once you've got it into position here, you're gonna grab a 14mm wrench and tighten down this nut to secure the mirror in place. Repeat the same process on the right side, of course. And the last thing you receive in your little box of goodies, some rubber axle caps, so we can install those. Thing you'll have to do to get your bike up and running, of course, is take your key, pop open your seat here, and we have to connect our battery for our electric start. So we'll take the included battery hardware, using a small flathead, hold it in line, take your positive lead, put it on top of the terminal, and thread this into place, and then tighten it down either with a Phillips head or a 10mm, whichever is easiest for you. Flip the protective boot over the terminal, and repeat the same process for the ground. Be sure to tuck all your wires out of the way here in a safe place. Then we can reinstall our seat. Now let's grab our key, see if this puppy turns on. Oh yeah, that's sick. That's so cool. Let's check out if our horn works here. Nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. We have a high beam flashing button right here to pass people and whatnot, so that's pretty cool. Choke lever right on the handle grips, which is pretty nice. Obviously the bike's not gonna start up because we don't have any gas, but let's see if the electric start works. Yep. Sounds nice and quiet and smooth. So that completes the assembly of your 2018 Honda Grom clone. I have to say right off the bat here, I'm thoroughly impressed with the quality of this bike. I do still want to go through and check a lot of the bolts and apply some Loctite, and I also am going to remove the shipping oil and replace it with some Mobil 1. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to get my motovlogging helmet set up, and then I'll give you a full tour of the bike and my first riding impressions. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the first of many videos on this Honda Grom clone. Again, a very special thank you to Belmont Bikes for making this project possible. Be sure to leave suggestions in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on JD Cars.